Welcome to this very special edition of the KJ Masterclass Live, the show which ensures that you profit from your time spent here with experts, either through their industry insights, information, or simply learning from them. And today we have James Rojas-Taylor, U.S. Marine veteran. He has spent more than 20 years as an actor and is out now working to show the world that these tools and techniques in the actor's toolkit can help everyone interface with their mind and emotions in a new way. Welcome to the show, James.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate your time.
You are welcome. Welcome to the show, Jim. Welcome to India in this online form. And I'm sure not just in India, but a lot of people across the globe will benefit from what we are going to talk right now. We'll talk about how one can master their emotions using this actors toolkit. We'll learn all of this about from you. But before that, let's learn a bit more about you, your journey, your background, so that people know who they are listening to.
Sure. Yeah. I was born in New Jersey, in the United States. I think with this acting journey, it goes before acting in general. It goes all the way back to when I was a little. I traced it all the way back when I was 4 years old. Um, I was taken to midnight mass by my parents, and the concept of eternity freaked me out because the fear was boredom. If I live forever, creeping and be bored with my time. So I regressed in my mind and I start creating these little, I guess, programs you could say. I refer to them as my suits and bubbles. My suits were different versions of myself. My bubbles were like the holodeck in the Star Trek universe. They could be any place, anytime, whatever. So I would take these different versions of myself, these different suits, put them in the bubble, and just act through different scenarios. Like if I was going out through the day, I would have run through what I was going to do beforehand, multiple different ways, reset and try it again. That way I'd provide multiple answers and kind of just became a lifestyle. And now it's like I have sonar in a sense. Anytime I walk into the room, I fire off all these questions and stuff like that about the situation I'm in, and it brings back answers. It's kind of like when a sonar shoots out a ping, it'll find out where where the boats are around it, where the ground is, where the ships are on the shore or the top, whatever. But it's like this lifestyle made me very unique. So it's like now when I got to the point in 2008 where this idea hit me, I had the eyes to see it, I guess. So now that I've seen it, I can't unsee it. It's the work that these masters that I just kind of tripped over, and now I'm just trying to, show people it's like there's something more here.
Absolutely, absolutely, Jim. So I want to understand. Firstly, how did you move from being a Marine veteran to the acting life? That's a normally not too much of heard of. So I want to understand that first for the audience.
That was a lot of my life happens on accident. I just kind of go with the flow. I had just gotten out of the Marine Corps. I only served one tour. I served 5 years active, one reserve. This was during the year of reserve. I was living in Huntsville, Alabama. I was living in a small town called Athens, but I was working in a town called Huntsville, Alabama. And I was working at this restaurant called the Lone Star Steakhouse. It's not there any longer. But I remember we were sitting there rolling silverware at the end of a shift, and one of the girls was talking about her voice lessons, and I was ornery. I just got out of the Marine Corps, so I started, ball breaking. And then she snipped at me, and she's like, "I bet you couldn't do voice lessons, soldier boy." So I was like, "Oh, bet I could." So I was like, oh, I found a voice instructor, and I challenged. I said, "I'm going to take 6 weeks of voice lessons to show you how easy it is." And then after the first lesson, the voice instructor was like, "No, you need to do." I mean, he asked me if I ever heard of Jesus Christ Superstar, and I remember because he chuckled because I was like, "Yeah, but I've never heard him called Superstar before." And then he was like, "Let me just train you for it. I want you to try out for this show." And he trained me for a year, and then in that time, I started doing little side productions, and it just kind of snowballed. I mean, I didn't intend it to happen, but within the first 2 years, I had like 30 different credits. I moved to New York. I picked up probably another 20 credits while I was up there just doing work. And then I got the role in the film Hunger, and it was during the shooting of Hunger when I was filming a scene with a gentleman called Lincoln Ashby. I wasn't even on camera; he was on camera. But when the director yelled "cut," he shook my hand like I pulled his kid out of a fire. He was so just thankful and grateful. I couldn't understand it, and it was just one of those things where even though I wasn't on camera, I was in the moment. I was present with him. So when he was acting, he could act off me, and it made his performance better. So that's kind of like it took me a couple months after to realize what happened, but it was in that moment that I realized that what I had been doing with my suits and bubbles was really no different than what these tools and techniques of acting are. When these two worlds merged in that moment, and it let me see it all.
Right, right, Jim. So you talk about acting skills. So, and that can be used in our real life to master our emotions. Uh, Help us understand a bit about this. Life is life. It's not acting. But how do we use those acting techniques? Give us some examples. How do we use it? I thought much more keeping your emotions under control can be learned from you as a marine veteran rather than acting. Which one gives much more tools in controlling our emotions?
Oh, acting without question. I mean, granted, you have to learn stuff in the Marine Corps because you're in a lot of different situations, but acting has changed over the last century. This Russian gentleman named Konstantin Stanislavski flipped the script on it's not about acting anymore. It's about being and becoming. And you also have to appreciate, like when you look at artists, a metal worker works with metal, a glass worker works with glass, a musician works with an instrument, composes music. An actor works with the human mind and emotion. That's the marble we have to chisel to create our work. Now, when Stanislavski came along, he's like, if you want to get into this character, you have to learn how to break down a moment. It's like when we're little kids and parents say make good choices. Well, okay, what does that mean though? How do you make a good choice? What are the choices? Well, Stanislavski came up with a system that's 7 questions that's designed to break down a moment that you're in, and this works for any moment. And as I read these questions off, you can these aren't just acting questions; these are life questions. Number one, who am I? This is the moment in relation to you. Number two, where am I? This is the moment in relation to the environment you're in. Number three, when is it? This is the moment in relation to time. Number four, what do I want? This is the moment in relation to purpose. Number five, why do I want? This is the moment in relation to desire. How do I get it? This is the moment in relation to action. And then what's in my way? This is the moment in relation to obstacles. These are real questions that people don't ask. There's a lot of times I talk to friends like, what do you want? It's like, I don't know. I never thought about it. How do you not make that choice in this moment? Because there's things you can do in every moment of your life. If you play an active part, you will be able to get a better chance of getting what you want done. Acting also teaches listening in multiple different ways. It teaches how to read behavior. If I can give you a quick list of short skills that are
Yeah,
learned, most of
yeah.
them are byproducts. But think about this: if we taught this systemically, presence, situational awareness, initiative, grit, projection, wit, breeziness, motivation, emotional regulation, empathy, critical thinking, teamwork, public speaking, problem solving, creativity, listening, independence, mindfulness, preparation. I mean, the list goes on. And like I said, a lot of these are just byproducts from the work we do, but you have to appreciate the work we do is on the human mind and emotion. But here's the rub we don't have a mind and emotions for the stage and one for life. They're one and the same. So what I'm saying is when these masters created these tools and techniques for the stage, they didn't think that the implications go beyond the stage to every human being because we all have this equipment.
Right, right, Jim. So, in terms of acting is acting, and million maximum number of people are not actors. So, how will they use those acting skills
Well, that's
into controlling their mastering their emotions?
acting isn't acting anymore. It changed. It's about being because we're all on a stage, the stage of life. We all play a different role. It's understanding how to work through that role, the situation. Like if I'm going into a job interview, most people that go into a job interview, the first time they go to that job interview is when they meet the person they're interviewing. Me, I'm going to rehearse that multiple different ways. So when I go into that job interview, I've already asked several questions. So I know how to drive the questions in my favor instead of just, saying what's going on there. And further than that, you can take improv skills and learn how to ask the right questions in the moment. It's about being present where you're at. And most people are not present in their life. They just kind of go with the flow because life has dictated a certain set of rules for society and we follow those rules. Well, if you use these techniques, you can, in a sense, learn how the rules work, learn how the game is played, That way you can make the rules as long as you go.
Absolutely, Jim. So, how does one get started? Is there a way to get started, or they just can do it just in their day to day life? They can start applying this.
I'm saying that's pretty much how, because the systems we have are acting classes, and you can take acting classes and learn these skills. All you have to do is understand that these tools and techniques that you're learning apply in life one for one, because there's really no difference. The mind doesn't understand a difference between you being on stage and feeling these emotions, whether or you're at home with your family feeling these emotions. It just says you need to feel these emotions, so it's going to bring those emotions to the forefront. And there's a lot of science that supports this as well. Um, Psychodrama. Dr. Joseph Levy Moreno in the 1950s created psychodrama literally by taking acting techniques and creating a group therapy session, and it's worked. Uh, Trauma drama takes teens who've been affected by trauma, and it teaches them acting techniques to work through different type of traumas so they can build up their strength and then tackle their trauma from there. And there's several other places I could point to. It's just we're dealing with broken people. I'm saying this is basically giving our people mental and emotional literacy. If we put this side by side with math and reading in school system, we'll raise a whole generation of people that are more mentally and emotionally capable.
Right. So you mean we we will feel the way we act. If we feel happy, even if we are sad, the body or the mind will understand it as being happy. That's the way we can we will be able to master our emotions. Is that correct?
Kind of, I think we need to remove the whole concept of acting and just throw it away. It's
Okay.
it's it's unneeded. If this is 100% just about feeling, because as an actor, like I said, we don't act anymore. When I get up on a
Okay.
stage and I need to feel something, I need to feel those real emotions. I have to draw on those real emotions. And the way you do that is by feeling. So you put yourself in these scenes, in these situations, and then you allow yourself to really experience them truly in the imaginative. And while you're doing that, it's like the same way as going to the gym. When you're going to the gym, you start out with light weights and you work out, but as your muscles grow, you can lift heavier weights. Your emotions, each emotion can grow and develop with you. You can feel them stronger. You can get to the point where, because when you go to like an opera, it happens all the time, or uh, something like a jazz performance where you feel something, you're connected to the artist portraying the music. That's how their emotions are pouring outside themselves because they've grown them so much, and we all have that capacity. It's just we have to learn it. We have to learn these tools and techniques to go into our mental and emotional gym to work out.
Absolutely. So, can you give some, real world example that this can be applied in different situations, either at home or in office?
At home is a great example because one of the great problems we have in this world between men and women is communication and empathy. Women say men lack empathy, they can't communicate. Well, we literally teach people emotional regulation and empathy and acting. These are skills that are learned through what we call the work, through the Stanislavski system, through Hagen, through Meisner. They're texting to break all this down, but they teach emotional regulation and empathy. They also teach listening and communication because the main problem I had as a male growing up here in the United States is no one ever taught me how to listen. No one ever taught me how to feel. So as I grew up, I just grew up an average male and I had those same difficulties in relationships. But once I started getting into acting and realizing it's one and the same and applying these tools and techniques to my relationships, it changed me. I don't get in arguments with women. I listen actively to what they're saying and understand their point of view because that's what empathy is. It's about understanding. And that's the foundation of acting tools and techniques is finding the truth. It's not about pretending or putting on a mask. It's about who are you sincerely, authentically in this moment. And it doesn't matter whatever you draw in. This is really a different version of who you are. It's kind of like the idea of multiple personalities. Instead of having them in a different universe, pull all those different versions of you into this one body in here, and it can change your whole perspective of life.
Absolutely. So this is for everyone in any situation that they can do, and this will lead to a much more happier, better life because they'll be much more in control or management of their emotions.
Absolutely. It's like even with the media and corporations, their job is to study human behavior to affect your behavior to make you buy what they want. If you learn these tools and techniques and fill out yourself as a being, then you negate their ability to do that because they can't control you anymore because you know how you feel. You've grown into yourself enough to where you can't be manipulated. So this does
Right.
all prevent being manipulated.
Right, James. So, how do you use it? How have you used it earlier on? How do you use it now in your daily life?
It's like I said, it's a lifestyle. It's all the time. Wherever I go, people like if I walk into a place, people tell me it's like, I don't understand how you can be so brave or so bold with what you say. And it's like I don't feel like it's brave or bold at all. It's just me talking. But I know I'm secure in who I am. I don't have any insecurities because insecurities are generally drawn from not knowing. I ask all these questions all the time. Like anytime I walk into an environment, it's just like ping, sonar goes out. What's going on in this environment? What do I need to know here? What can I learn from this environment? Uh, what's the temperature like of the room, like emotional? Because it's not just about like weather temperature. It's like, is this like if I walk into a bar and there's a bunch of bikers in there, the emotional temperature could be high. So it's about having the ability, the intuition to see what's going on beforehand. So I know if I need to stay in a situation or I need to leave. But like I said, it affects me everywhere in relationships, not just romantic relationships, any kind of relationship. I can see the kind of person, how they're going to treat me. I can see their behavior beforehand. So it's like as it's happening, I don't have to wait like weeks later in therapy to figure out what happened. I can see as it's happening in real time. So it allows me these little people always say it's like that I have superpowers, but it's not. I'm just using this supercomputer because I'm not the one saying that. Our the human scientists saying this is the most powerful supercomputer known to mankind. All I'm really saying is that these acting tools and techniques, I'm using them like an operating system. They're like my Windows or my Mac OS. They're allowing me to interface my mind and emotions in a way that most people cannot. So that's really what I'm doing. I have a better operating system than the average bear.
Absolutely. So, are there any prerequisites for that? If I'm using this particular thing, do I have to also see that the other person is also receptive of it, or is it like one-sided? My acting with my emotions and controlling them will work in any situation.
Yeah, it'll work in any situation. The other person doesn't have to do anything. I mean, it would help. It would help them, and it would allow us being a better life if everyone lived this way. Because, like I said, it would give people a better grasp of who they are, and it would grow and develop them. Because most people are very underdeveloped, and they don't realize it because they don't realize that how many possibilities, how many choices they have. They stay shelled in, and you see that a lot, like in just communities that don't have or impoverished communities that don't have access to education and stuff like that. They're supercomputers as well. They're just shut off from everything else, their lifestyle. But again, this doesn't have to, you don't need anyone else to do it. This is something about developing you as an individual. And as you do it, as you progress, you'll see as you grow that the world will literally change the way you see it.
Absolutely, absolutely. Why are then some actors who know so much of acting still do not have that much of their own emotions in control? Is there something wrong there, or are they not practicing what they have actually learned to such great effect?
I think it's the latter. It's like any job, most jobs. I refer to something called the law of averages. It's not a law; it's something I made up. But it's like any group of people I find, 20% are good, 20% are bad, 60% are common. So it breaks down. So it's like when you see somebody making a weld. Some guy can do a beautiful weld. Some guy can do a kind of half butt weld. Now they both have the same knowledge, access to knowledge, but it's about how you apply it. And the world of acting, most people don't go into acting to become better people. They go into acting for fame or fortune. Now, those are the people that generally don't understand the work that they're doing or are not going to put a lot into it. They're just doing it to get their name up there. The greatest actors are the ones who just disappear into their roles. But when you look at their scripts, they're generally just all kinds of stuff written on there, all kinds of work done. Like, is it's about answering every moment there is in the script because when you look at a script, it's beat to beat to beat to beat. What is happening? What's written between the lines? What can I add? Because if you look at the script, it's like a coloring book. The actor is the box of crayons. It's the actor's job to color in the character to make it something that the person watching is like, wow, that's a great character. It's not just the script. It's not just about, oh, I'm going to memorize lines and pretend emotions. No, you have to feel, you have to bring things. And that's what these tools and techniques do. They fill you out as an actor so you can bring those things. Well, I'm saying if we take these tools and techniques and fill our little kids out as young ones, they can bring more to the world.
Absolutely. There's much to learn from you about all these things, James, and I'm sure a lot of people would want to understand this, learn more from you, learn more about these techniques. What's the best way for them to connect with you, Jim?
I have a book out, and it's called All Your Best Selves. You can see it on
Okay.
Amazon right now. It's the only place I'm selling it because I'm still learning. The idea I know, acting I know, writing books, podcasts. This is all new to me, so I'm just branching out with this. But I also have a website. It's www.tbcenterprises.com. You can get a link to the book on there as well. But that's I think the best way to reach out right now because, like I said, the book breaks down what I call the intangible toolbox, where the tools and techniques, it explains how we use them as actors and also how they can be used in life. And it breaks them all down. It offers exercises. That way it shows you exactly what you need to do.
Right. So this book has all the tools and techniques that you call the tool, intangible toolbox. It's all in there. Who is this? Who is this book?
Say again?
Yeah. So tell us a bit more about the book. You
Oh,
talked about the intangible
yes.
toolbox, and who is this book for them?
The book is for, like I said, it's for anyone. It's anyone who's looking to develop themselves in a way that can make them more robust in life because we're in a very difficult world. It can be a tough world, mentally and emotionally. And these tools and techniques can make you more robust in that way. The book is broken down in three parts. The first part is talking about my life and how I came to the idea. The second part of the book is the idea, and the third part of the book is what I refer to as the intangible toolbox, and that's the tools and techniques of the actors. It doesn't have all of them; it has a lot of them. Like I said, this unpacks so much more than I was ready to actually look into. It also shows the supporting science, different colleges and universities that are doing these tools and techniques. But like I said, the main issue is that, and they're succeeding. It's just they're succeeding with broken people. I'm saying we should push it further and give it to the world. Why wait till people are broken before we give them tools and techniques to make themselves stronger?
Absolutely. So this book is available on Amazon, and you are and tell us about website name also so that people can connect with you.
Yes, it's a www.tbc, that's Tango Bravo Charlie, enterprises.com. So tbcenterprises.com, that's my website. That's kind of where I put out my videos and stuff like that personally, trying to get this idea out, promoted, and other projects that I'm working on as well.
Wonderful. With this, it's a wrap on this very special edition of the KJ Masterclass Live. Thank you so much indeed for joining us.
Thank you, Case. I really appreciate your time. It's lovely having me on.